Welcome back, everyone, to Cleaning Business Life. I'm Shannon Miller, Systems First Cleaning Business Coach. I have to look at the script because that is a big tongueful and it's new. And today we're talking about square foot pricing and why most cleaning business owners think they're doing it right when they're actually losing money. Never want to leave money on the table.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sounds simple on the surface, but it feels like it gets really messy really fast.
Definitely. I can see how it could get messy really fast. And
Yes.
so today we're going to break this down in a way that actually makes some sense because there's a lot of confusion over square foot pricing. And so you can use it correctly instead of relying on it and hoping that it works.
Yeah.
Square foot pricing is one of the most misunderstood tools in the industry. People love because it feels simple, just to like a plug in the square foot and boom. And a lot of people use the pricing calculators. I like to know the math behind what I'm doing so I understand why I'm pricing what I'm pricing. And I will say this, and Jamie and I were just talking about this. Square foot pricing is just one of the elements that adds into the equation of the total price. Just because someone agrees to 15 cents a square foot for a 3,000 square foot home doesn't mean that that's going to be enough money or that it's too much money. It's just one piece of the pie that you're going to kind of put together to get the
That's
square
only
foot
part of the
pricing.
equation to get the number.
So people think that you can price. Some people really do think that they can price based on size alone. And we were just talking about how if you have a house that was built in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have a lot of furniture or accumulation back then, but we had a lot of built-ins. So I've learned over time, because I've done 15,000 move-out cleanings, like, hey, what year was your house built in? Because that will tell me that all of those cubbies are going to need to be vacuumed and wet wiped out. It's just, and some houses can have hundreds of them, while the newer builds don't have any of that extra
No,
stuff. They, you
very
know,
minimal.
they'll have the large master closet, but that's not going to be 52 cubicles
Yeah.
of,
hmm
of trying to vacuum out.
So yeah, that goes back to square foot pricing is one of my least favorite ways to price, but it definitely is in how I get my equation because there are no two exact homes alike.
No.
Some people live very minimal and have no pets and no children, and the same house next door can be the same size and they have two dogs, two small children, furniture, because all the toys, all the everything laying around, and their price is going to be higher than the one your next door neighbor.
Right. So square foot pricing might not work in that type of situation.
Right, right. No, like I said, it's just it's a base for where I can start to price.
Right.
Uh, and then whenever you start factoring in pets, then
Mhm.
we're starting to add more money. If you have small children under the age of 6, I add more money. And it's not because I'm penalizing people, it's because
Little humans are
children, they're
messy.
children, and let them be children. They get their little paw prints everywhere, all up and down on the refrigerator, all down in the cabinets,
On every
there's going to
wall.
be a lot more there's going to be a lot more wiping and spot cleaning because that's part of it's part of our even maintenance cleaning. You spot clean. You have dogs. I have 3.
Right.
They I call it dog love on my walls. They have their little Turner and Hooch slobbers whenever they shake their head and it goes everywhere. We have clients that are like that. So two of the same sized houses, if you're charging by the square foot, you're not
Right.
going to get it's not that easy. It's not as easy as to plug in that number, and poof, you get your number. It's you got to
And one
factor in.
house could take 2 hours and the other house could take 6 hours. So you
Yeah.
might make sure that you're covering yourself. And another thing to say, and Jamie does this too, is this is because I don't see anything in person up front. I'm not an individual that does that. Once in a blue moon I will, but it's sight unseen and scheduled the price is scheduled to adjust upon walkthrough. And your cleaning techs are trained to eyeball what the dirt code is, and that's when you check in with them and say, "Hey, what do you think?" And they'll say, "I don't know. I don't know if I can get this done in 2.5 hours. This looks like a 4 hour job." And then that's when you go, okay, well, that's going to take 4 hours. And this is what the price I'm going to give them because it's going to take more time. And then that's when you renegotiate, because that's part of the process of doing any business is always renegotiation. If I've learned anything at all, when you give a price, you are not committed till death do us part on that price. You can renegotiate. If you walk in and they've agreed to certain concessions, like picking up all the laundry and the chonies and the toys, and you walk in and they haven't done it because the dad forgot, air quotes, that's more money. That's because you're tidying and you're cleaning. That
Yep.
it's not, oh, I sucked it up and I ate 18 hours. What do I do now? We don't want to hear those stories because that sucks. Definitely.
Right.
Nobody wants to eat money.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I've walked houses that are smaller in square footage but absolutely wrecked. We did a 800 square foot condo, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. They didn't clean it in the 7 years that it lived there. It took 27 labor hours to get that thing so it was livable.
Oh,
So
we've
you
been
just
there.
never know.
We've been there. Yeah. Did you underprice that job? I'm curious to know.
Well, at the time, and this was ironically, this is a condo that's around the corner from my house. I now live on that side of town, but it was 800 square feet. I quoted it. I think this was like, I don't know, a decade ago. I think I quoted it at 250 plus appliances. And then when I got there, and there was like grease just dripping down, and I was like, this isn't going to be what we discussed. I think I ended up charging her almost $1 a square foot because we had to like use some heavy duty
Yep.
chemicals.
Yep.
And the owner of the property was having a fit, and I'm like, I didn't live here. I'm not the one that did this. We're just here to clean it. We can walk off the job, and you'll just pay what you pay. But yeah,
Right.
it was I probably, what is that math wise? We know I can't add. So if it's 800 square feet and I quoted
800.
200, 250
Oh yeah.
calculator. What's the math on that? So 250 divided into 800, it's 31 cents a square foot, and I ended up charging 3 times that amount. It was $1 a square foot that I ended up charging plus appliances. The appliances have always been extra.
Always, yeah. We do that too. We do not even for deep cleans and move in and move outs. Everybody is like, "Oh, your move in, move outs. You don't add appliances? No, they're add-ons.
Some
Even
of these
for the,
appliances can take 2.5, 3 hours to get
it,
clean.
and the same with pulling the appliances out. I know that some people will do that for them. We do not. We make the homeowner or the renter pull it out. And
Reliability reasons.
absolutely. So, yeah, square footage doesn't tell you how someone lives in a home.
No.
It doesn't. Yeah.
So everybody has a different lifestyle, and the square footage should be the baseline. It's the starting point. Like when I say they're like, I actually was in Walmart yesterday picking up some things for the kids for some party we're going to. And this lady's like, what are you doing? Because I threw in some barkeeper's friend and some other things that we needed because I was low and I couldn't get it off Amazon in time for what I needed it for. And she's like, man, you're doing a lot of cleaning. I'm like, I own a cleaning company. Oh, really? Right. And then it
Yeah.
becomes a whole conversation of, why you shouldn't use Kaboom because it's got like a 27-page STS versus, why you should use more gentler stuff. And so I got like 5 women. It was like, hey, can you answer my cleaning question too? Because they didn't know. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you have? And they're like, I have a lot of mold. I'm like, well, this is a really harsh chemical. You might want to open the windows. And she probably shouldn't have been cleaning anyway. But you just never know the dynamics of what that's going to be. So we started to talk about, well, how much would you charge to come out and do it? And I'm like, well, give me a brief scenario. And I gave a range. I said, if it's a deep cleaning, those all start at 250 to $300 for your size home. I go,
Mhm.
it sounds like yours might be in the 450, 500 mark. her eyes got really big. And it's a cost. There's a cost to put you on the schedule. And I see how I gave the range. That way it leaves it open. So then when you send the paperwork, that's when you say this is sight unseen, scheduled to be adjusted after we walk it. Because I'm not going to drive over to her house, especially with gas. It's 6.27 a gallon right
I
now.
know, and I have to have like mid-grade at minimum.
Right.
So
So then you become like, well, it's really, you waste your time going over there. And then they're like, well, I don't, and then they're still not deciding. So if it's better
they
to give a
ghost you.
range.
They see that price a lot of time, they ghost you, and it's like, oh, what? I could have just went on to the next. Oh, it just,
Mhm.
um,
So it
yeah,
is a tool, not a solution. So, and everything is renegotiatable. So especially if they don't agree if they don't do the concessions you agreed on, and then it just gives you a starting point and it helps with consistency. So then the next house will call and you'll say, okay, well, that size house starts at 250 to $300. Now remember, I only work in solos.
yep,
If I
same.
have a 3,000 square foot home, I'm not sending one person in there to do a deep cleaning. They'll never make it out alive.
No, no, there's a
It's too
difference.
much. Emotionally, you're trying to, and physically, you're trying to get in and out, and they're all watching, right?
Oh, and it's always nice to look back and that other person's got you in that size of a home. Like, yeah.
Yeah, look at my arm, look at my
Yeah.
arm, look at my arm.
Yeah, look at my arm. Yes.
So it,
Um,
it gives you a light, a moderate, and a heavy because everyone lives different. First clean versus maintenance. And it's funny, everyone always thinks that they have a regularly maintained home and it's not ever. Once in a while.
I love how it's always clean, especially for move outs. Oh, it'll be clean.
Just a broom sweep.
Yep. Don't, I heard that. I heard that this week. I heard
So
it this week.
there's gonna be lifestyle factors too. Jamie just
Yeah.
mentioned kids, pets,
Clutter.
clutter,
Mhm.
frequency. We walked into a lady who had 275 individual houseplants. Those shed.
And
It
not
was
only
humid
that,
too. I was like, oh my gosh.
now I am a plant mom, but not like that. But they collect a lot of dust too. And I, you know, there needs to be some training that goes behind that too, because it does need dusted.
Right.
With your feather dust, I mean, it does. It needs to have some of that dust knocked off. So that's so tedious.
Mhm. You can also offer an extra, well, I'm thinking of it, and this is random, totally off topic. You could
Yeah,
offer people who have artificial plants in the spring and summer, you could offer to take them outside and squirt them off and let them air dry for an extra service. Just something to think about.
that's great.
Um, so this is where your pricing becomes more accurate, not just fast. So,
Right. And instead of it replacing thinking, it actually requires more awareness. And
right.
then you can take it and copy and paste, kind of like, well, okay, this last house that we just did that was like a similar situation. It was an 18, say, we're just throwing this 1,800 square foot home. Um, Only except they have an extra dog. Then you have that baseline. So again, pricing by the square foot, it's just not a one size fit all thing. It's only part of the equation to get
Mhm.
to the number that you want to get to.
Definitely. And speed and pricing without structure leads to underpricing. And if you've realized, and this is key, ladies and gentlemen, if you've walked the job, you said, okay, it's going to be this price, and then you get there and you've realized you've totally underpriced it, renegotiate the deal. More 9 times out of 10, if you follow any of my methods, you've already taken a deposit. They're not going to want to walk away from that deposit because if they forfeit, you keep the deposit. That's
Yep.
how it's written. But renegotiate the deal. I didn't see all this stuff. And they'll say, but, I didn't see the 57 spider webs that were hanging down from your ceiling, or I didn't see all that mouse poop because it was late in the afternoon and the light wasn't working in the room and now it is, right?
It does because yeah, you get to going in there and realize real quick sometimes like I didn't see any of this.
Don't eat it. Or, people with all white kitchens. I love them. They look beautiful in a
Oh,
photograph.
on
But white
pictures.
kitchens are hard.
On pictures they look great. It's like, man, I wish I could have. It don't work out for me and
No,
our family and the way we live.
right. But they look beautiful nonetheless. Or people who have dark hardwood floors, they usually end up getting them pulled out on year number 2 because human dust is white. So when it settles,
Yeah,
it
that sunlight hits it just right.
Mhm.
And yeah, I have trained all my cleaning techs whenever it comes to floors like that, you gotta go back and kind of get that sunlight hitting it just right. And then,
Look at the spots.
oh,
Look
I
at the
get
spot.
it. Yeah, you can see it. And the same with the kitchen counter,
Mhm.
the tops of it. You have to get down at eye level, and then that's whenever oh, I did. I guess I missed those little crumbs that you can't even see.
Right.
Even if you ran your hand across, sometimes your hand just didn't hit it.
Right.
But when you get it down to eye level, yeah, so um that's another topic.
Right.
But
Our eyes aren't trained to see that, especially with the granite and the pattern. All we see
yeah,
is the pattern. We're not seeing the in between pieces. So
yeah,
that's a great way. That's a pro tip.
sure
Jamie's giving
is.
pro tips, so watch out. And so if your pricing feels inconsistent, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, then you really want to sit down and figure out how you're going to price. Again, we've mentioned the pricing blueprint masterclass. It's like $10. It's
It's
on my website. It teaches the basics of pricing. Does it cover square foot pricing? A little teeny bit, not a bunch, because it's one piece of the equation. It talks mostly about, billable hours and what the national averages are and how to get that and how to break things down math wise. Because I always want to understand why I'm giving out a certain price. Because you don't want to just get numbers, you want to get a structure that actually works and then start to track. It doesn't have to have the address, but you can take an Excel sheet or a numbers page or
Jabber.
whatever Google Drive has and start to put in like 1800, 3 bedroom, 3 bath, how long that production rate was, what you charged, and then another 1800, 3 bath. And you could put like a little note. It says, 3 kids or dogs or whatever, so you can try to remember. And you'll start to see the pattern and the nuances of your pricing so that you can get a better spectrum. And then even on the easy houses, you can charge the same amount and make a little extra on this one and work a little harder on that one. I hope that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, that's interesting. I would like to talk more about this because that's something that I'm not good at making uh, like spreadsheets. Never understood how I can't. Um, or an Excel sheet or numbers you said. Um, but I would like to
Mhm.
track that better. That is a great idea. I think we'll talk more about that and trying to put that in
Yes,
my
you can do it on ChatGPT
just
too.
so I
It'll
can
make you want
look.
to. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you start to
I
see the
think
patterns. Okay, I've done 10 1,800 square foot homes, and each
right.
this one was, this price, and then this one was like 5 times that price, and this time was lower than that price. So then you can come up with an average to charge, and then just know that you'll have a subcharge for the ones that have this particular attribute. The ones
That
with
is
the kids, the dogs, and then
yeah,
you'll be
that's
able to
so
figure out your
smart.
pricing.
That is so smart. So yeah, so that you're not coming in and guessing every time, right?
Right.
You
It
go
just makes
into
it.
a new
I'm always
house.
about the patterns.
Yeah. Uh, but people like simple pricing, so how do you keep them from getting complicated? I think that we just talked about that a little bit, but what about quoting quickly over the phone?
I love
I know you do.
close over the phone. And I go back and forth because the economy has just been so weird and I keep saying this every year. I promise this is going to be the last year, but it's just
Yeah,
we have gas, right? We have the gas issue this year. But it really does. If you're new to the industry, I highly recommend that you go in person because people don't like to say no to a friendly face that's smiling. They just don't. So over the phone, it's kind of ambiguous, and they're like, "Well, this isn't for me," or "I'm going to ask my, air quotes, I'm going to ask my husband," that type of thing. But it does make it easier, and then you can kind of see where the threshold for pricing is. Like, I know that I could get away with charging even more in the spring and during the summer for top to bottoms or move out cleanings because that's when we're the busiest with them. So I can
Yeah.
go, okay, instead of the $400 price or the $500 price, I know I can start at $625 and get away with it. And they
Yeah.
won't question it because it's the busy time. Everybody in town is doing them, so there isn't a lot of people going, oh, well, I'll do it for $200. So there's that knowledge as well. Um, and you can just make it as simple. And sometimes you're going to hit it and sometimes you're not. So, and you just don't want to be blind to your situation. So start to track and trace to figure out where you're at.
Yeah.
And there is no wrong price, just there are impossible prices. There was somebody, I don't remember what group I saw it in. She did a move out cleaning and the homeowner only heard $65 instead of $265. So she was upset because she got ripped off because it wasn't that dirty. And I was like, where's your contract?
Yes, I say that a lot. And I always say, moving forward.
Right,
Now, I bet you won't let it happen to you again, you
right.
know?
And I
Hmm.
think she only ended up getting the $65. And I'm like, how could you put in 18 hours for $65? That's like,
Not even, that's really good.
it was
$2.
wild.
Where's my $2? Oh my goodness. No. I hate whenever that happens for people.
So
Um,
giving ranges and not having fixed numbers, you're not committed. So if you say 550 and you show up and go, oh, this isn't anything that was described, we think it's going to be this. And there have been jobs. I raised it even more after they got halfway through because I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I think it's going to be this now. It sucks to have that conversation and they're pissed off, but it is what it is.
right, right. And we do that. We whenever we're done with a room, we're done with a room.
Right.
It's not waiting to do the floors last,
Mm-mm.
especially on top to bottoms. So you can stop where you're at and say, if you would like for me to continue, we can, but the price is going to be this much. But that this and this got done,
Mm-hmm.
like your top,
You have
bathroom.
visible proof that you are working as fast as you possibly can.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So simple doesn't mean accurate. Fast pricing without context is like risky pricing, and try not to arbitrarily throw a number out unless you're testing your market. Um, and if your pricing doesn't adjust, your profit will. So that margin, you guys, I'm not shy, 55, 25, and 20. You always want to keep that 20. That's your golden ticket. So
That's our
you,
livelihood. That's it.
right. You want to make sure that you're keeping that profit margin in check. And if you're not charging enough, that profit margin is going to shrink and shrink and shrink. And you could bankrupt yourself really easy. So you're either pricing correctly or you're paying for it later or you're not having a business, which is no fun. So here's how to actually use this starting today. Set a base rate per square foot. So I've seen people do 10 cents a square foot. I've seen people do 15 cents a square
Mhm.
foot, 25 cents a square foot for monthly. You decide what the square foot price is going to be for your area. Some people are 7 cents. I really try not to get down to 7 cents. It makes more sense now with today's market and everything else, at least 10 cents, if
Yeah.
not 12 cents.
Hmm.
And I've seen in some cases where it's 15 cents for regular maintenance and then 20 cents for biweekly and then 25 or 30 cents for monthly. And then add simple modifiers, pets, clutter, collections, Elvis Presley plates. I don't know why I always attract those ladies.
Elvis,
Because
Elvis
we don't touch
Presley.
them, but still they're there.
Yeah,
Frequency, and then track the time of your jobs. How long is it taking you or your cleaning tech to do those types of jobs? Again, go back to the spreadsheet. Um, you don't fix pricing by guessing, you fix it by tracking.
yeah.
Tracking, the proof is in the numbers. The math ain't math, and I hear people say that all the time.
Constant tracking. It's very important. You're not you're not throwing square foot out. You're just using it differently.
Mhm.
Um,
Exactly. It's a tool, not a strategy.
yeah, yeah, it is right.
If you take anything from this, square foot partying, square footage is a starting point, not a final answer. La 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 la. Condition matters, lifestyle matters.
And if you're ignoring those, you're the one that's paying for it. Yeah, your business is going to pay for it. Your your pocketbook is going to pay for it. And like Shannon said, you do not want to bankrupt your business. And
No,
it can, so tracking data is very important in this line of work. You got to track it. So,
definitely. So your pricing should reflect your reality, not convenience. So if someone says I can't afford it, then they're not your customer. Unless you decide to do a charity cleaning, then that's up to you. You decide, not them. Your
right.
system doesn't adjust, but your profit can disappear.
Right. If this episode has helped you and you are make sure that you're subscribed, like, share, um, so that you guys never miss out on the next one, and we can also reach more cleaners out there that could use this help. We love it.
Definitely. So if you're ready to build pricing that actually works, check out the Pricing Blueprint Masterclass 1.0. We'll walk you through this step by step so you're not guessing. Again, as always, we love you. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so
Look,
much, everybody.
take care.
Bye.